Hello everybody, let's recap the lesson. Today we're talking about adding or subtracting rational functions. So hopefully you remember from middle school that when you add or subtract, you need to have a common denominator. Of course, during COVID, I'm not so sure if you guys even did this during middle school, but here we go. So if I have half plus a third, a real easy visual is you got a half, then you're going to add a third. Well, a third is like this much. So what do you have? We got half and a third. But if you divide the whole thing into sixths, hold on. There's my half, and there's my third. A half plus a third. To get the answer to that, we have to divide it into 6. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6. Or we know that they both have a common denominator of 6. So I would multiply this fraction by 3 over 3, and this one by 2 over 2, because that would be the common denominator. What number do they both go into? They both go into 6. So here I have a 3 6, 3 over 3, and a 2 6. When I add them, I get a common denominator of 6. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay. Same thing when I subtract. A visual of this is if I have a half, and I take away a third. Okay. So then what's left over? Well, so I take my half. Here's my half. Take away a third, and all I'd have left over is this much here. Well, to get that answer, I break up the pie into equal pieces. And these pieces are all 6, so the answer is 1/6. But how do we do that with just the fractions? Well, what number do they both go into? It's 6. That's your common denominator. Okay, 2 goes into 6. Well, let's see. Let's multiply both by 3 over 3 to make 6, and 2 over 2 to make 6. So I get 3 6 minus 2 6, which is a 1/6. Okay, now we'll talk about multiply and divide the next day. Okay, so then in our notes today, we talked about what happens if we have x's in there. Well, this is a pretty easy one because these three fractions already have a common denominator of 6. So I like to write it down. Okay, so then they all have a common denominator of 6. So my numerator will have an x plus a 5x minus 1x. I can combine all of those and make a 5x over 6. The next example is a little bit more difficult because I have a 2 and a 5 and a 4. Okay, here's my original problem. I have a 3x over 2, a 2y over 5, minus a 3x over 4. The common denominator has to be 20 because all of these numbers divide into 20. So I have to make them into 20. So 10 over 10 makes a 20. 4 over 4 makes a 20. 5 over 5 makes a 20. So they all have a common denominator of 20. So if I multiply by 10, I get a 30x. Multiply by 4, I get an 8y. Multiply by 5, I get a negative 15x. Okay, so they all have the denominator 20. I combine x's, 15x plus y. That is my answer. Example 3. Again, here's my original problem, 3/5 x. 2y over 3 minus 2/15 minus this 2x plus 3y over 5. So what is the common denominator? Well, it's got to be 15, where they all divide into 15. Okay, so to make this a 15, I multiply by 3 over 3. To make this a 15, 5 over 5. Multiply this into 15, multiply this by 3 over 3. Okay, so then my common denominator is 15. So then I have to make that 3 over 3 into a 9x. 5 over 5, make that into a 10y. And then I didn't need to multiply, so that's still a negative 2/15. And here, I bring in the 3 in, I get a 6x plus a 3y over 15. I've got to be careful to subtract everything, all of this term. So I subtract the 6x, subtract the 9y, make it a negative 6x minus 9y. Then I can combine terms. My common denominator is 15. I have a 3x plus 1y minus 2. And that's all I have for today. The homework is a worksheet. And come see me if you need additional help. But that's all I have. Oh, and there was a mathia on reducing fractions, simplifying fractions, or rational functions.